Hello, welcome to La Excellence. In our recap program, we are discussing monthly current affairs videos. In this video, let us discuss May 2021 related issues. This is part 1 of the video. PDF of this video is available in the description. If you want to write test series based on the monthly current affairs videos, you can join the test series by clicking on the link mentioned below. First, let us start with polity related issues. Our first issue is Maratha reservation case. Maharashtra has provided OBC reservation for Marathas, 12% in educational institutions, 13% in the jobs. This case went to Supreme Court saying that this has crossed the 50% limitation set in the Indira Sahni case. Supreme Court has struck down this reservation given by the state government in the case of Maratha reservation, and it has said that it is violating Article 14 and Article 21. Under Article 21, due process of law is violated. As it is above the 50% ceiling, it is said that it is violating Article 14 of the Constitution. In this context, in Maratha reservation case, 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act in its constitutionality was questioned. So this was upheld as constitutional by the Supreme Court. What is this 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act? 102 Constitutional Amendment Act was passed in the year 2018. It introduced two new articles. One is Article 338B. Second one is Article 342A into the Constitution. Article 338B deals with the establishment of constitutional body known as National Commission for BCs. Earlier, National Commission for BCs was there, but it was a statutory body. Now under Article 338B, constitutional body is established. Article 324A, it empowers the President to specify the socially, educationally backward communities in the state. In this regard, Maharashtra has questioned the constitutional validity of it. Earlier, states had the power to recognize the OBCs. Now, under this particular Constitutional Amendment Act, only President of India, that means center, has the power. But Supreme Court said yes, as it is under the Constitutional Amendment Act, it has the parliamentary majority, so it is constitutional. Later, government itself has amended this. That's a different issue. We are going to read it in the further months. But as of now, as on March 2021, Supreme Court has upheld the validity of the Constitutional Amendment Act 102. In this context, let us briefly discuss about what is this National Commission for OBC and what are its functions. Under 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act, under Article 338, National Commission for OBCs is constituted. It has a chairman, vice chairman and 3 members. This commission and the members are appointed by the President of India. No qualifications are prescribed under this article. Service conditions and tenure are determined by the President of India, similar to National Commission on SCs and National Commission on STs. And removal authority is President of India. No grounds are mentioned. With regard to functions of National Commission for OBC, it investigates and monitors the safeguards provided under the Constitution for SEBCs, that is socially, educationally backward classes. It inquires into complaints regarding violation of rights of SEBCs, and it advises and makes recommendations on socio-economic development of backward classes. Next issue is role of regional parties in Indian federalism. So this issue is important because recently in the month of May, election results have shown that regional parties are very strong with regard to Indian federalism. In this context, evolution of regional parties and the party system, this is important to understand. So they might ask prelims question based on the trend. That is why please go through this once. How over a period of time Indian party system changed and how regional parties played an important role. What is the basis of formation of various regional parties? Just go through this once. Next issue is judicial review, judicial activism and judicial overreach. With regard to various aspects of COVID-19 and COVID-19 related judgments of Supreme Court, it has been said that judiciary is stepping out of its power zone. It is violating separation of powers principles through judicial overreach. In this context, let us understand the meaning of judicial review, activism and overreach. Judicial review means power of the judiciary to examine the constitutionality of legislature, and executive actions. Judicial activism means proactive role played by the judiciary with regard to various judgments. For example, PILs, suo motu cases, PILs, etc. Judicial overreach means every organ of the state has its own power, and these organs overstepping their power zone is known as violation of doctrine of separation of power. Judicial overreach means it is overstepping and is making the decisions on the executive and legislative spheres. Such issues are known as judicial overreach. Judicial review and activism are accepted. Judicial overreach is seen as a negative thing. Next issue is restructuring the tribunals. Recently, Tribunal Reforms Ordinance, this has been promulgated by the central government. It has changed the appointment and tenure conditions. It has scrapped certain appellate bodies of the tribunals. In this context, let us understand the constitutional provisions with regard to tribunals. Tribunals were not there in the original constitution. They were added through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Acts. Under that, two provisions are added. Under Article 323A, one more article is Article T323B. Under 323A, administrative tribunals are appointed. Under Article 323B, other tribunals can be appointed. In this context, to oversee all these tribunals, appointments, transfers, etc., it is suggested to have a National Tribunal Commission. It is to have an administrative oversight, and it could set the standards, and it could function as the independent recruitment body with regard to tribunals. Restructuring of tribunals is the need of the hour, and this recent ordinance has been criticized because some of the appellate tribunals were removed and these powers are given to high courts. What is the issue with the regular court system? Tribunals, the essential principle under tribunal is specialization. Specialization and faster justice. But if we place it under regular high court system, what is the use of existence of tribunals? Next issue is creation of districts. Recently, Punjab government has created new district in the state. In this regard, let us understand the constitutional provisions with regard to creation of districts. No constitutional explicit provision is there with regard to creation of new districts. To create new states, we have Article 3, creation, alteration, abolition of the boundaries, etc. But for districts, there is no constitutional explicit provision. It can be created, altered, or abolished by the state through executive order of the state or through the state legislative assembly. One of the primary reasons for creation of new districts in the states are to lead a better administration and governance. In general, central government doesn't involve in creation of new districts in the state. But when the state alters the name of the district or name of the railway station, then it has to take no objection certificates from various ministries such as Ministry of Earth Sciences, Intelligence Bureau, Department of Posts, etc. Next issue is Lakshadweep land regulations. Recently, latest draft on Lakshadweep Development Authority regulation was released and it has been criticized heavily, and people made demand to remove the administrator of Lakshadweep. In this context, let us understand in brief about the constitutional provisions regarding Lakshadweep Islands. Under Article 239, every union territory shall be administered by the President of India through his administrator. Under Article 240, President has the power to make regulations for the peace, progress and good government of the union territories. Under Article 241, Parliament by law can constitute a high court for the union territory or declare any court to be the high court of the union territory. For example, Kerala High Court functions as the High Court of Lakshadweep as well under Article 241. And administrator of Lakshadweep can be appointed and removed by the President of India. There are no conditions mentioned, there are no tenure mentioned for the administrator. In general, administrator has the tenure of 5 years similar to governor, but that is not guaranteed under the constitution. Next issue is creation of legislative councils. Recently, Union Cabinet has approved for creation of legislative councils in West Bengal region, West Bengal. Bicameralism is a term. Bicameralism means having two houses, upper house and lower house. As of now, 6 states have bicameral legislatures. That means they have both the houses. Earlier, Jammu and Kashmir also had bicameral legislature. Now it is divided into two union territories without legislative council. Under Article 169, if the state legislature, that is Legislative Assembly, passes a resolution with a special majority for the creation of Legislative Council, Parliament passes the bill. It is the Parliament which creates or abolishes the Legislative Council. State legislative assemblies doesn't have that power, but they initiate the proceedings. That's it. Article 169. Next, let us understand geography related current affairs. Our first issue is Kyrgyzstan-Tajikistan clashes. Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan are the Central Asian countries. Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. These are Central Asian countries, 5 countries. These were earlier part of Soviet Union. After 1991 Soviet disintegration, they formed as independent countries. Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, they have cursive boundary. At the edge, there is a place known as Koktash. This region is in dispute because this region is source of water for these two countries. That is why frequent clashes erupt in these particular region. That's why it was in news. Now in this context, from the geography point of view, we have to know the capitals of these regions and arrangement of these countries from north to south, east to west, etc. These are Central Asian countries. Next issue is pole wandering. We have two types of poles. One is geographic North Pole, second one is magnetic North Pole. Geographic North Pole position won't change, but the magnetic North Pole position changes. That phenomena is known as pole wandering. Recently, British Geological Survey has reported that Earth's magnetic North Pole is moving from the current position in Canada to Siberian region, Russia, Siberian region. Slowly it is moving. This movement of pole is known as pole wandering. Right? This is how pole, they wander, they move. Magnetic pole wanders. Geographic North Pole or South Pole, they won't wander. Only the magnetic poles, they wander. This phenomena is known as pole wandering. Geographic poles, this is geographic North Pole, and magnetic pole. Earth itself acts as a big magnet. It consists of solid iron core surrounding which hot liquid metal, which is asthenosphere, is there. This leads to formation of this magnetic zone surrounding it. That's why this magnetic pole changes frequently. Next issue is West Bank. Where is this place and why is this in news? West Bank is one of the conflicting regions between Israel and Palestine. There is a place in West Bank known as Jerusalem. Recently, clashes erupted in this particular place called Jerusalem. So with regard to that, let's understand the geography of this region. Israel and Gaza Strip, West Bank. These two combinedly is known as Palestinian region. This is known as West Bank because here this Jordan River flows. And above this particular region, we have a place known as Golan Heights. This is Syria, Lebanon. This is Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. This is known as Sinai Peninsula. This is Jordan. This region is known as Gulf of Aqaba. Go through this map once. This is Temple Mount in Jerusalem. This is map of old Jerusalem city. Gaza Strip, West Bank, part of Palestine and other areas. Suez Canal nearby, Golan Heights, Dead Sea. Just try to map these things in your map book. Next issue is Roop-C Airport. Roop-C Airport is historically important. Recently it has been opened under UDAN scheme, under UDAN Regional Connectivity Scheme. This Roop-C provides connectivity to the Western Assam and also to the Meghalaya and Bhutan regions. This was very active during the World War II time. Now again, it is reopened under UDAN scheme. Next issue is breaking Antarctic iceberg. Antarctic iceberg named A76. This broke off from Ron ice shelf. Because of global warming and increasing temperatures due to climate change, this ice shelf broken and came out into Weddell Sea. Let us see the map of this once. This is Ron ice shelf. This is Weddell Sea. A76 broke off from this and it is floating now in the Weddell Sea region. This is Drake Passage between South America and Antarctica. This is Ross Ice Shelf. This is Antarctic Mountains. This divides the Antarctic continent into two equal halves. This is Queen Mawad Land. This is where India's research stations in Antarctica are placed. Next issue is Farzad B gas field. Recently, Iran gave Farzad B gas field to Petropars. It's a domestic gas producer. Earlier, it was given to ONGC Videsh Limited. This Farzad gas field is located in the Persian Gulf region. There is this north field. This is one of the largest natural gas reserves. This belongs to Qatar. And this region, Farzad A, Farzad B, these are gas fields of Iran. So this is located in Persian Gulf. Try to recollect the map of Persian Gulf. This is Gulf Strait of Hormuz. This is Qasim Island. This is Muzdaman Peninsula of Oman. So try to recollect all these things which we have discussed in the earlier months. Farzad B gas field earlier was given to ONGC. Now it is allocated for the domestic gas producer because of the delay in developing that gas field. Next issue is Nord Stream. In the last month's issues, we have discussed about border conflict between Ukraine and Russia, right? So with regard to that, since 2014, USA imposed sanctions on various Russian companies. Now recently, USA has waived sanctions on one of the companies that is implementing Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline to Europe. That means from Russian region to Germany, there's a undersea natural gas pipeline. This pipeline is known as Nord Stream 2. There's one more parallel pipe stream which is known as Nord Stream. This is the second one in the same zone. Russia, especially Russian Siberian region, it has huge gas reserves, natural gas reserves, which are required for the European region. Earlier, there were many restrictions by USA on the companies of Russia, which has delayed this project. Now it has given the waiver. Now, this particular Nord Stream passes through Baltic Sea. That is why it is known as undersea gas pipeline. This is the map of Nord Stream 2. Just go through it once. Next issue is African Rift Valley. Because of the volcanic eruption near the African Rift Valley, this was the news. Rift Valley is formed one because of the downward slide, which is known as faulting, or due to the divergence. So East African Rift Valley is because of the divergence of plate boundaries. And this divergence of plate boundaries, they have led to formation of East African Rift Valley, which is home to many of the East Rift Valley rivers such as Tanganyika, Victoria, etc. So this is East African Rift Valley. There are many lakes such as Lake Victoria, Lake Albert, Lake Edward, Lake Kivu, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Maweru, Lake Malawi, Lake Turkana, Lake Rukwa. These are known as East African Rift Valley lakes. These are known as Great Lakes of East Africa. Next is Mount Nyiragongo. Because of this only East African Rift Valley was in news. Mount Nyiragongo and Mount Namoriga. These two are part of Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC Congo. And these two volcanoes, active volcanoes, are part of East African Rift Valley system. Lake Kivu is beside this particular Mount Nyiragongo. This Mount Nyiragongo is the active volcano, and recently it has erupted. It has damaged the Goma city in the DRC Congo. DRC Congo has one more speciality. Congo River crosses the equator twice in this country. Next issue is solar and lunar eclipse. In January and in few other months, solar and lunar eclipses and their issues are in news. That is why I just go through this once. These are basic concepts. When sun, moon and earth, when all the three celestial bodies are on straight line, solar and lunar eclipses happen. When moon is in between sun and the earth, solar eclipse happens. When earth is in between moon and the sun, lunar eclipse happens. Go through this table once, try to quickly revise it. This is the diagram representing the solar eclipse. Umbra means full shadow region, penumbra means partial shadow region. This represents lunar eclipse. Here also same thing. Umbra means full shadow region, penumbra means partial shadow region. Here we have to learn one more term, that is supermoon. What is supermoon? Moon moves around the earth in elliptical orbit. When the moon is at the perigee point, that means when moon is at very less distance from the earth, such eclipse is known as supermoon eclipse. Supermoon means relatively moon's size will be bigger. And this happens when the moon is moving in the perigee point from the earth. Perigee means less distant point. Next is Lakshadweep Islands. Lakshadweep is one of the smallest union territories and this has 36 islands. Out of that, few islands are habitable. There are three major groups of islands: Amindevi, Lakadweevi and Minikai Islands. These are coral origin. These islands are formed due to the coral origin similar to Maldives. The capital is Karavati. Majority of the population, they follow Islam religion in this particular union territory. It is declared as organic cultural area under participatory guarantee scheme of India. First organic state is Sikkim and Lakshadweep Island is declared as organic agricultural area. Next issue is Udhampur Srinagar Baramulla Rail Link project. It is going to be completed by 2023. This provides connectivity from the Kashmir Valley to the other parts of the country. Udhampur Srinagar Baramulla Rail Link project, it connects the Kashmir Valley with the rest of the country and it is declared as the national project in the year 2002. It is located in Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory. Next, let us discuss the history related current issues. First one is National Mission on Cultural Mapping. National Mission on Cultural Mapping is a mission mode project under Ministry of Culture. It was started in the year 2015. There are three major objectives under this mission. One is to promote the cultural awareness. Two is to encourage the talent. Three, to conduct the cultural workshops. Significance of the mission include this: revival and safeguarding the oral traditions, fostering the cultural awareness, cultural preservation, etc. National Mission on Cultural Mapping. It provides a database. It has a portal and it provides the database to support the livelihoods of the artisans and artists involved in the art and culture field. Next issue is Reclining Buddha. Reclining Buddha. Recently on Buddha Jayanti, India's largest statue of reclining Buddha was installed at Bodh Gaya. A reclining Buddha statue, it represents the parinirvana before the death. This iconography, this reclining Buddha was first represented in Gandhara art, then later it reached its peak stage during the Kushana period from the 1st to 5th century AD. These statues and images of reclining Buddha, it shows him to lying on his right side, his head resting on the cushion on his right elbow. This one. And this iconography, its importance is that it shows that all beings have the potential to be awakened and be released from the cycle of death and rebirth. That is the iconography of this reclining Buddha. Reclining Buddha in India is depicted in various cave paintings in Ajanta and in Kushinagar, where Buddha has attained the parinirvana. It's in UP. Parinirvana. And there's a 6-meter long red sandstone monolith statue showing the reclining Buddha inside the Parinirvana stupa. Our final issue of this video is Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Our Prime Minister has commemorated 1 or 2 years of Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. In this context, let us understand what this incident is and what are the outcomes of this Jallianwala Bagh massacre. On Baisakhi Day, on April 13th, local residents of Amritsar, they attended a meeting held by Satyapal and Saifuddin Kichlu. These two are leaders. They were fighting for independence. They were protesting against the Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act was implemented after World War. So this act has prohibited rights of the individuals. In this context, they started protesting. They all met and General Dyer, without any intimation, reached the scene and started firing using his army. That led to killing of many people. This incident is considered the butcher of Amritsar Aftermath of this incident, General Dyer was removed from the command and was exiled to Britain. As a protest against this particular event, Rabindranath Tagore has renounced his British knighthood. Mahatma Gandhi has renounced his Kaisari Hind medal. And in 1992, this infamous Rowlatt Act was repealed by the British Parliament. These are the issues of part 1 of May. Thank you very much. All the very best.